Hello YouTube, welcome to the channel. If you get something out of the content that I put up here, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe and give me a like on these videos. It can make a real difference in the algorithms and how they share content with other channels. Also, if you're interested in some one-on-one Skype sessions, you'll find a good email on me in the description of every video I put up. Guys, we're doing the sticker challenge again today. Stick around to the end, you might win. I'm looking for the first person in the comments with the right player and the right tune. All right, today we're going to jump right in on trying to grow our ear a little bit to better hear minor chords. I think most of us can pick out a 1, 4, 5 chord progression, but a lot of times become a little dependent on chord charts being so readily available, which is a great thing. It's a great resource, but I think we're not learning as much because of it. So if you watch the channel, you hear me talk about the importance of the chord scale and the way that that really does grow your ear to be able to hear these changes. I'm going to do a really quick breakdown of that and as a G chord scale, and then use some song examples that have the different minor chords that appear in this chord scale as part of the progression. So if we start with a G chord and we move each one of those notes to the next interval of the G major scale. It's a really simple thought. This G note would move up to an A. This D note goes to an E. It's the next interval of our G scale. Now the B note here, that's the third of the chord. It moves up to a C. And then the root note of G, once again, moves up to an A. So those four notes, I'm using my scale knowledge and I'm just moving each interval of that chord up to the next note of this G scale, and that would form an A minor chord. This isn't the kind of thing that you should need tab for. You should know what that two-finger G is. You should know your G major scale. And you should be able to calculate that without needing tab. And then you hear it. That those notes logically come next as a chord the same way they would if you were just playing single notes of the scale. So that's how that works. And if we keep going, if I start on, those are all intervals of the G major scale. If I start there and do the same thing, it's going to form a B minor chord. That's the 3 minor. 1, 2, 3. Okay, the next two, that's good old C and G. Just like if you're playing them back here, Bill Monroe chop chords, G, C, and D. So I'm going to start using this area of the fretboard at this point instead of moving up the neck further. We have G, A minor, B minor. Now instead of this bar chord C, let's go back here to first position. It's still a C chord. And now do the same thing again. Here's D. Again, that 1, 4, 5. G, C, D. Okay, from that chord, that is a full chord. All we need are 3 notes to form the chord. We have the root, the 3rd scale degree, and the 5th scale degree. That's the inversion of that chord that we're playing. So from there, it would move up to E minor. That's the 6 minor. I'm sure you've heard that term, or relative minor as it is sometimes called. From there, we would go on to a half diminished chord, which is going to be this angular shape here at the 5th, 7th, and 9th fret. That's the 7th chord of the chord scale, and then we would land back on a G. So I'm just going to play through that in the way that I'm doing it this morning. Okay, so that's going to make it a little bit more user-friendly instead of playing it all the way up the neck the way that we can. Because I'm gonna, if my voice will let me, I'm going to try to sing through some melodies that you're really going to be familiar with that would have those particular chords in them. So this is a little bit more of where the rubber meets the road. I'm going to do them in the order that they appear in the chord scale: A minor, B minor, and then E minor. These are all kind of pop culture tunes, not as much attached to the bluegrass world, but you're going to recognize these melodies, and that's why I'm choosing these. But in the key of G, if you thought about the old tune, hold me, ride me high, tomorrow's the day my bride's gonna come. Oh no, we're gonna ride down in my easy chair. So it's a 1, 2 minor, 4, back to 1. Okay, each one of these progressions does that same thing intentionally so that you hear that. That's a 1 to 2 minor to 4 and back to 1. So in each one of these progressions, we're going to go to the minor chord that happens and then to a 4 chord following it. So there's a great example of using a 2 minor chord to play over that song. So that would work no matter what key you're in. If you say 2 minor, it doesn't matter if you're playing an F or B flat or C. No matter where you are, a 2 minor chord is going to be that same relationship. And this should help your ear to be able to identify that chord. Don't think of that as learning a chord progression to a specific song. Think of it as growing your ear so that you recognize that sound moving forward. Okay, great example of a B minor chord, in this case a 3 minor. I remember this from childhood, singing this in school, in elementary school. But the old tune, and watch this, it's going to be the 1 chord, then the minor, in this case a 3 minor, and once again a 4 chord following that minor. In the beginning of this melody, Puff the magic dragon, live by the sea. Look at those chords. Again, 1, 3 minor to 4. That one almost begs you, Puff the magic dragon, live by the sea. Maybe to actually go up to this C chord. You might choose that one after the 3 minor to 4. So there we have our song example. Most people are going to be familiar with that melody, I feel like, from 1 to 3 minor, then to 4. Okay, we have one left, and again, this isn't about learning Puff the Magic Dragon. It's hearing that chord and then being able to identify it with your ear, just like you could a C or a D, a 4 and 5 chord. Okay, so the only other minor chord left is the 6 minor of that scale. So another example, and this is going to be 1 to 6 minor to 4, very popular tune from the 80s. Every breath you take, every vow you break, every smile you fake, to the 4 chord. There we have it. 1, then the 6 minor to the 4. That chord, more than likely, is easier for you to identify. A lot of people would develop an ear for the 6 minor before they would 2 and a 3 minor. Okay? So this is some, cut to the chase. Put these examples out there and think about it like this if you haven't ever done it before. That these songs are really vehicles for growing your ear. You don't even have to play the rest of the song. If you just go through that minor chord part of the tune, it is going to potentially help maybe make you feel like the chord scale thing isn't really that intimidating. It's an everyday thing that we use to figure out progressions and all these things so that we're not dependent on jumping online to try to pull up something. And what are you going to do if someone writes a tune, one of your buddies, and you want to be able to play it? And obviously you're not going to be able to find that on the internet. So let's grow our ear in that way. All right, I hope this helps. Now for the sticker challenge, going back once again to the 1990s.